Get myself on camera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope you guys are off to a fantastic Wednesday. It's hump day. I notice my camera is still acting. It seems a little fuzzy to me, but we'll move with it. As I wait for a couple people to come in the room, I just want to encourage you to hop in, comment this morning, and let me know where you are connecting with us from. If you're on YouTube or on LinkedIn, tell me where you are. And I notice there are a number of people who've been tuning into us from different places around the world. And many of you will send me a DM letting me know that you watched or live. And I'm interested in learning more and more about who it is that is connecting with us. This morning, April 28th, 2021, 8 a.m. Eastern. One of the days in this week where I am going morning to night, just trying to get things under control, right? I feel like this is the season where things are beginning to ramp back up. Um, and yet, in many ways, they're the same. How are you feeling about that, right? Are you coping? Are you taking care of your mental health and making sure you employ some self-care in this season? I've been One of the things I have been doing in the last 3 weeks, I want to say today, I'm approaching day 13, is walking. I walk quite literally mornings, middle of the day, and in the evenings. And I am now on a 3 plus 7, 10 plus 3, 13-day streak of plus 10,000 steps a day. And I'm aiming this week for the work week. I'm in a family work week hustle, meaning me and 6 of our family members are all utilizing Fitbits. And, and on a weekly basis, we're challenging each other to see who can walk the most. And so I get out and walk, but I'm deliberate when I walk. For the most part, at least once or twice a day when I'm walking, I don't bring a cell phone. I'm not actively engaged with the cell phone or even passively listening to a podcast or a book. Once or at least twice a day, or I should say twice or at least once a day, I am being more deliberate to just be one with my thoughts and allowing them to go where they need to, right? Without technology. And that's partly me working on making sure that I give my brain space to breathe. Um, but it also allows me that creative energy, right? Our minds need space. Our minds need time away from everything, and it also needs to be in the present. I think all too often, we are wound up, right, in what's next, and we live in this future state, almost always. What's going to happen next week, next month, for the rest of my life, when we don't take the opportunity to live in the present. And so I'm going to encourage you. I'm grateful for waking up this morning, and having the ability to walk my dog in peace, to watch my kids get to school, to engage with my wife, to get my mind right before I get into the busyness of my workday. So that's my challenge to you this morning, is on this hump day. is to make sure you are employing some measure of self-care, and at the very least, get out and get a good walk in. Today, good morning, Annette. I see you're hanging with me here. If anyone else is tuned in, let me know. Jump in the comments, engage with us. Let us know that you're tuned in, and let us know where you're tuning in from. So I am going to make an attempt to share something here with you guys. If we can get this working, that'd be great. So let's see. Let me try and share screen. I don't do this often enough, but let's see what happens. So it worked. All right, so I'm sharing a quote here from Jim Rohn. This is one of those amazing people who Jim Rohn since passed away, but in the 80s, he was probably one of the top speakers in the world. And there is a famous quote of his. If you're not familiar with Jim Rohn, go hop on YouTube and listen to Jim Rohn's talks. I mean, he talks on goal setting quite a bit. There are videos you can watch of Jim Rohn for 2, 3, 4 hours, probably more on YouTube. And I promise you wouldn't get bored. Very inspiring, very motivational speaker. And I love Jim Rohn. I'm always documenting. I've literally sat down and manually transcribed large segments of his video so that I can read it. And I'm that obsessed with some of his philosophy and his teachings. And so as trailblazers, I'm going to encourage you to add Jim Rohn to one of the people that you consume some content from. But Jim Rohn has this quote. He says, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." And so my question to you this morning is, who are the 5 people that you are spending the most time with? Right? What are you taking in? How are you being fueled? I am, in the past year and a half, I've been giving a great bit of thought to my legacy. And more often than not, we talk about leaving a legacy. And I am challenging myself. I realize in processing thoughts on this, I'm not so much worried about leaving a legacy as much as I am living the legacy. And that's what I've been doing in the last 5 years, right? I've been living my legacy. I've been pursuing things like the Trailblazer podcast, these live streams. I'm hoping to pour in to other people. I'm hoping to plant seeds in gardens I know I might never, ever see. And so I'm living that legacy right now. And I'm pursuing even greater on a daily basis. And so it's possible for me to pour in all my energy into that legacy build, into that legacy living. But it helps me since 2016. If I told you I was doing this by myself, I'd be lying. There's so many amazing people around me. Folks like Annette Richards is a dear friend. Folks like Minda Harts, Tiffany Sutherland, Rich Jones, Patrice Washington, Sean Dove, Craig Whiteley, and I could go on and on. But in 2016, attending Podcast Movement, I met Kwame Christian, Tiffany F. Sutherland, and Rich Jones. And together we created a peer group. It wasn't paid, but it was a group of like-minded professionals who began a podcast. And together we said, hey, let's come together and create a group and let's meet on a regular basis. Let's go ahead and start to work on talking through the things that we want to accomplish. And here's the beautiful part of a mastermind. You decide on a routine basis on which you're going to meet. So most of, because I'm in a second mastermind now, we meet every other week. Now, the concept of a mastermind is as old as time. I believe in chapter 12 of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, he talks about the concept of the mastermind group, right? I'm almost certain it's no, the power of the mastermind. It's in chapter 10 of Think and Grow Rich. And he talks about a good bit of how he's grown. By the way, this book was written in the 1930s, right? So 100 years of wisdom. And I brought my French press down here because I was trying to make coffee before it came live. And I couldn't get to it in time. So I decided to bring it down because I'm dying for a cup of coffee this morning. But hey, listen, you know, getting live with you guys is my priority at 8 a.m. no matter where I am on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday morning. So I figure we can be more and more real, right? By the way, good morning, Ralston, and good morning, Craig. And good morning, Sheldon. Listen, guys, Sheldon and I are going to be having a conversation right here on Friday morning. I hope that you guys would come back and join us at 8 a.m. Eastern time, Washington, D.C. time, Friday morning. We're gonna chat it up. And so I invite you guys to join us. But back to this mastermind concept, because listen, what happened when I launched Trailblazers was that I was taking a step, an imperfect step forward. I didn't necessarily know anything about podcasting. I still don't know quite a good bit 5 years in about audio. I know enough to do damage. I know enough and I learn enough that if I really needed to edit a podcast episode, I can absolutely jump into Adobe Audition or, you know, a couple other different tools and edit audio. But podcasting was one of the many things, like live streaming, that I made a decision that, hey, I'm going to try doing this and I'm going to fail until I succeed. And I'm going to just do it, right? And I got up and I did it. And I could have spent a couple years trying to figure this out on my own, right? I could have just remained in isolation. Instead, what happened without necessarily us having the idea or the concept or a template in mind or having somebody else guide us as to how it's properly done. Tiffany Sutherland, Rich Jones, Kwame Christian, and I said, hey, let's go ahead and start a peer group. Let's start a mastermind. And the four of us started what we call today our Money Moves group or Money Moves room. And we met every other week for about an hour. Like minds, you know, four amazing people, right? I always felt like I was the one that brought the least to the table because they're all amazingly smart professionals. But we were all were podcasters. That was our common thread, was that we were podcasters. And what I can't express enough the growth of Trailblazers that came by way of having this mastermind group, having this peer group, having these other three people become people who I spent a good bit of time with. Now, mind you, we're in different geolocations, but we now live in a digital era. And I have never actually met in person, but Annette and I talk almost every single day. And many of my peers don't live in Maryland. I think of Donald C. Kelly. I think of Patrice Washington. I think of Craig Whiteley. I think of Minda Harts, Sean Dove. None of the above people I've mentioned lives in the state of Maryland. So they're not in my geo. They're not even in the DMV. They don't live in DC or Virginia. I'm not a quick drive away. I don't live within an hour of anybody in my peer group. But they are people I spend majority of my engaged time with, most often through text or WhatsApp on a daily basis. And once a week, thanks to things like Zoom, platforms that we live in on a daily basis now, before the pandemic, we would leverage having meetings on Zoom, having daily chats in chat rooms on WhatsApp or in text or in Slack. And so here is what I'm encouraging and empowering you guys to give thought to doing. Because when I think about the things I give my time to that have helped me tremendously, one of the top 5 things that have helped me to grow over the past 5 years is being involved in 2 different mastermind groups, right? And so the idea of the mastermind is that you find there's no leader of the group, right? With a group coaching setup, there's one person who's kind of top of that group, right? And everybody else is learning from that one person. With a peer group, with a mastermind group, it's different. You're bringing together like-minded professionals that each have their respective strengths. Okay? So I'm a podcaster, but I'm a marketer. And different people in the group have different strengths. Now, you might all have a common thread, but some people might be married, some people might not. Some people might have successful products, some people might not. Some people might have online courses, some people might not. Some people might be leaders, some might not. You get the point. But together, the collective has strengths that everybody can benefit from. And so you decide on committing to a group, and the commitment is serious, right? It needs to be one of the things that you prioritize the most on that weekly or bi-weekly basis. And you come together for an hour, 90 minutes, you determine the time. Now, we started with 4. Our present group, Empire Builders, is comprised of probably 6. And I'm thinking to grow it even more, right? But we meet on a bi-weekly basis. And we're coming to the table every meeting. We begin from a place of sharing wins. My Empire Builders group is a group of common thread is that we're Christians. So we start from a place of prayer. And we each share a win since the last time we met, big or small. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. And every meeting, there's somebody who is, or 1 or 2 people who are on what we call the hot seat. And I'm giving some love to my sister Kelly Leonard. I love my Kelly Leonard mug. I need to get some Trailblazer mugs for many of you who always show up here on a couple times a week. If you'd like some merch, let me know. And in fact, I haven't gotten to the mugs yet, but I'd love your support. I've created some apparel, some merch that you can check out over at stephenahart.com/merch. Definitely make sure you grab a sweatshirt or a t-shirt and help support the cause, right? So I'm still trying to wake up. I hope you guys are enjoying all this content. Let me look at the comments. I haven't been following much of what you guys are saying here. Good stuff. You guys are chatting it up. Love it. So listen, back to the framework. So we start off from a place of prayer. If that's obviously it works for us. I'm not saying, and truly, I think a Bible study group is essentially a mastermind group in many ways, right? So I think many of us are already involved in mastermind groups. We just don't realize that term is not one that many understand. But really, it's just a group of people that meet together, discuss your challenges, the things that you're doing, and together, instead of having one mind, right? Instead of me doing what I'm pursuing my goals and my dreams independent of other people. Maybe I don't have a partner, and maybe I do, but the idea of the mastermind is that you have however many people, 5, 6, 10, 12 people putting all their minds together on particular challenges or ideas, and together you form a mastermind that is pouring everything into what to do next. The other side of this, so on the one benefit is that you are getting the wisdom and the knowledge of all the people in the group, right? So what a hot seat is when everybody comes together for a mastermind meeting. Again, in my group, in our Empire Builders group, 1 to 2 people present each meeting in what we call a hot seat. And when you are in the hot seat, if I'm in the hot seat, I come to the group prepared with a question. Generally, I frame my mastermind hot seat with a pressing question that I need to answer to. And then I frame what's leading to that question. So, for example, I might come to the group and say, hey, I am working on a new product and I am not exactly sure that I have my pricing down correct. So I need help to determine whether or not my pricing is where it should be. Because how many of you, when it comes to pricing your product, when it comes to pricing your service, when it comes to determining your salary for your career, I want some ones right now in the comments. If all too often imposter syndrome gets in the way and you will tell everybody else to make sure they are pricing themselves accordingly, but you yourself have that challenge, making sure that you price yourself accordingly and not discount yourself to the world. If I'm speaking to you right now, I want to see some ones in the comments, right? But I'm going to tell you, I'm the first one, right? I'm always wanting to give away, what I have to give that is so much more valuable. And Annette always, and Donald and Patrice Washington and all my peer group are always saying, Stephen, hey, you need to charge more for your products and services. But let's come back to this. Assume that's the question I bring to the group. I can now say, hey, group, and generally you have in our mastermind, the person on the hot seat has 5 minutes to stage the question and the challenge they're up against. And generally you have about 15 minutes. So we generally meet for an hour, and we'll frame 15 minutes for each person to be in that hot seat, and the other 30 minutes kind of is for all other business, right? But in the first 5 minutes, I am framing. So I frame the question. I'm having the challenge with the pricing. And then, I frame exactly what I've done, what's holding me from moving forward. And then I pause. And generally, I'll take 2-3 minutes to do that. And I allow 2 or 3 minutes for other questions. The group, everybody else that's there, they'll ask supporting questions. And then here's the unique part of what we do is the person who's in the hot seat after you've presented and no one has any more questions, the person in the hot seat has to mute themselves. Like, so we're on Zoom, I have to mute myself. And then I have to listen to 4 or 5 or 6 people talk about me and talk about my problem. And I can't chime in. I can't defend myself. Right? I just have to listen. And so they will talk. And I tell you what, just listening to that conversation thread is oftentimes the value in that conversation, right? Because you're hearing other people share their angle, their perspective, the lens through which they look at this problem. And together they will go at it. And then at the end of that, they'll allow you to unmute and add any other, you can ask any additional questions, and you can wrap up. And then the next person goes on a hot seat, and then you go through your wrap up bit as to what is happening going forward before the next meeting. The beautiful thing about that mastermind is that you have now stated, you've now gotten input on a problem, and the second side of the mastermind group that has tremendous value is the accountability. No one even has to ask you, right? But if the next meeting is coming up, and there's even an inkling of a possibility that someone in your mastermind is going to say, hey, Stephen, what did you do with information that we gave you? Right? And it might not even wait till the next meeting, because in the gaps, we have chat groups, right? So I have a WhatsApp ongoing group with one mastermind. I have a Slack group ongoing with another. So we're always having exchanges in the middle. But having that accountability is something that is truly amazing, right? And it's what fuels me, because life happens, right? So might be in the hot seats, and nothing might happen for the first week after, because I'm catching up on the rest of life. But I tell you what, if I know there is a hot seat coming up again, or another call coming up again tomorrow, you best believe I'm spending time tonight, if I need to pull an all-nighter, to make sure I'm not going to get embarrassed if somebody in my peer group says, what did you do with the information we gave you? Where are you now? Right? And it will be the fire you need every single time to get work done. So accountability and having the value of 5 other or however many, right, can insert that number. This is the Jim Rohn quote, right? You're an average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I come back to the question I started this conversation with. Who are those 5 people that you are spending your time with, right? Who are you allowing to either pour positive fuel or negative fuel into the legacy that you're trying to build? I encourage you, if you're not a part of a mastermind group, start giving it thought. It doesn't have to be a formal structure, but begin looking at people who are like-minded, and also people ideally who are where you want to be. And don't discount, again, just like I talked about the pricing, don't discount yourself and think that you don't have value to bring, because you do. You have experiences and wisdom that you alone have been blessed by God. And sometimes it don't feel like a blessing when you're going through it, but the experiences you have are of value, right? Success and or failure that you've gone through has value to a group. So take that, begin to give thought to who are 4 other people, 5 other people that I can put together, that I can get to meet with me on a weekly basis, a bi-weekly basis for an hour. And we can have conversation, that we can get into a hot seat, that we can, hold each other accountable, right? And so I have not been reading the comments because I've just wanted to get through the my thoughts here, right? But I see all of you guys commenting, and I appreciate you. I'm going to ask you to share this video today with somebody who you think could benefit from this, who's probably in the wrong circle, right? And could benefit from having a shift in their mindset, right? Towards not trying to go it alone, but really pairing themselves with people who are going to pour, again, that positive mission fuel, right? To helping them realize and take that dream and convert it into a vision and goals and a reality, a legacy, a living legacy. So that's my time for today. I just want to thank you guys and encourage you to go out today and to blaze your trail. And I look forward to you guys joining us on Friday when I'm joined by Sheldon. Sheldon and I are going to chat it up on Friday morning, and look forward to you guys hanging with us then. Have a fantastic day. God bless. Cheers.